Warning, this video spoils the entirety of the chapter covered here within. If you wish to experience it without being spoiled, turn back now. Okay, so, the new One Piece chapter. 1060, Egghead, the Island of the Future. And holy shit, this is going to be the most disjointed video I have done for One Piece. Because I have something I really want to talk about right at the beginning of this video, just so I don't forget it. And it is due to the fact, like the spoiler alert says at the beginning, don't watch if you don't want to know. The end of the chapter introduces Vegapunk. Or at least what we are being told is Vegapunk. And it's the body of this rather young looking girl. And she is wearing what seems to be like a bodysuit with the word, I believe it says Vegapunk 02. I'm getting the chapter up just so I can see. Yeah, it says Punk 02. And the same kind of design was found on a mechanical shark earlier in the chapter and a giant robot. The shark had 3 and the robot had 12. So, a bunch of theories have been circulating about who the fuck this actually is. I've seen people accept the fact that this could easily be Vegapunk. Someone said that this is an imposter trying to lure the pirates into a false sense of security and then kills them. I doubt that. I've seen that it's Vegapunk's servant. That's why it's O2. Like, as in it's one of Vegapunk's longest lasting robotic servants. I'm personally of the belief that it's potentially in the same case as both Frankie and Kuma. It is a human who has been outfitted with cybernetics to prevent anything from happening to them. So with Frankie, he added his mechanical parts to save his own life. With Kuma, he completely overhauled himself to become a robot. So I'm thinking it's going to be a nice mix of those, or that's a possibility. We don't know. Then we have the ones like, this is Vegapunk's daughter. There's a lot of theories. But an interesting point I'd like to note is towards the end of the chapter in the last page, who I'm going to just referring to as Vegapunk. Vegapunk says, well, it's actually the last few panels of the second to last page. How's that? Vegapunk says, it's another failure. I wonder why, though. Perhaps overriding primal desires is simply impossible. And the translator note for TCB says old-timer speech. So, kinda, oh, gosh darn it, this is another failure. Why is nothing like that? So, it's using the Japanese, I guess, dialect in a way that the older people would use. Which is another option for this is kind of a mouthpiece for Vegapunk, and it's just kind of his speaker robot. I do like that idea. But the robot had the big mecha bot that the current panel of this chapter is 12. Is huge, right? But the line of overriding primal desires, along with the extra text of, I ordered the mecha shark to scout, report, and fire, but it seems to try to eat ships. There won't be anything left to salvage. I must have bungled the programming. That last few lines aren't really important. What I want to focus on is the primal desires, which could very easily work into this being Vegapunk. If this is Vegapunk, like as the character says at the end of the chapter, you can call me Dr. Vegapunk. If this really is Vegapunk, say Vegapunk more, then there's a possibility that this is like his kid, which again is a theory that I already brought up. But who's to say this isn't like Vegapunk's daughter? That maybe something did happen to her. Maybe she got sick and Vegapunk, to save her life, outfitted her with robotics. And through the programming, he programmed his own speech patterns into it, hence why she's speaking in an older style. That's one option, just straight up. And yeah, but I just think it's interesting. I'm not gonna keep ranting about this entire thing because there's a lot of stuff I could talk about with Vegapunk, like the idea that, oh, I don't fucking know, that the earpiece she's wearing could be an antenna communicating with the Blackbeard pirates. I fucking doubt it, but yeah, it's interesting. Something that I also want to say before I get into breaking down the chapter is these past 2 weeks have been the absolute most cope I have seen the One Piece fandom huff in a 2-week period. We had we had Sabo potentially dying last week, and everyone was like, no, he's not dead. He wasn't on the island. He was ever so slightly off of it. He was like on the coast, or he was on a neighboring island. Yeah, that's a possibility, but paired with the fact that this week people are just blatantly saying this is not Vegapunk. With no possible deniability. I've just seen people say this is not Vegapunk. One thing I remember is after 15 years of talking about Vegapunk, Oda can't possibly fumble a character this bad. Which I'm very interested as to see why the person would think that Oda making Vegapunk this young girl would be a fumble, but I mean, pop off, I guess. So yeah, the One Piece fandom right now is kind of wacky. But to get into the actual chapter, cover story is another thing I want to talk about. There's just a lot of stuff I really want to talk about for this. The cover story on volume 19 is all the Germa siblings escaping with Caesar. So that leads me to ask, we know that Katakuri and Oven were hit by the hallucinogenic gas that Caesar put out, but like, how fucking bad can you fumble this? Like, I get, again, it's hallucinogenic gas. It's kind of hard to just not be affected by. But, like, yeah, at some point that has to wear off. And Whole Cake Island is a pretty massive, like, selection of islands. So, like, is Katakuri eventually gonna put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, maybe I should go fight them? Like, is he gonna be able to shake off the hallucinogen before that? I don't fucking know, dude. I just think it's funny. But to start the chapter, Bonnie lands on the ship as we kind of expected. And then the massive O3 shark attacks. Or was it? Yeah, it was 3. And with all the Devil Fruit users going off, Jinbei orders Frankie to take the helm so that he can go under and get the Straw Hats. But the ship ends up capsizing anyway, or at least nearly capsizing. And all of the Devil Fruit users are picked up by Jinbei, and they can't go back to the ship, so they go to the nearby island. And on the nearby island, I'm just going to skip the middle chunk of the chapter just so I can keep all these perspectives in line. We see that they are on the edge of the island, and Luffy does not remember who Bonnie is, but she does thank them for saving her. And we get a little bit of exposition that they are on Egghead, the island that is 500 years ahead of the 500 years in the future, and Vegapunk's research is here. And she says, Vegapunk's the reason I'm here. We've got business. And other than potentially being competition for Waifu of the Year, I don't know what that business could be. Maybe Egghead has something to do with the kingdom that Bonnie's the queen of. I don't really know. But one interesting thing that I don't really know how hard I can hit on this, but I just kind of want to bring it up, is the fact that Bonnie says, what's the deal with your wanted poster anyway? I thought your hair was white now. They made quite a stir about it in the papers, you know? And Luffy says, oh, that's just how I look when I'm totally free. Which, as we know, Joy Boy fights freely with nothing burdening him. He's unlimited by his own imagination, whatever, all that. But the fact that Luffy himself can phrase it in that way, because we know, like, yeah, that's what it is. But Luffy's true form, which is also probably why he says, this is my peak, this is Gear 5th, because his whole thing is he wants to be totally free. So when he's in a form where he is totally free, that makes sense why he would call it his peak. Like, there's not going to be a Gear 6th. There can be different iterations of Gear 5th, but no Gear 6th, as long as I'm putting this together correctly. Luffy says that he has faith in his crew, and then we cut to, and then I'm just going to deal with the other group before we get into the third and final point of view from this chapter. The rest of the crew, we are doing the normal One Piece thing on the new island, splitting our crew up into groups. We have Luffy's group, which is Luffy, Chopper, Robin, Bonnie, and Jinbei, I believe. I don't know if Robin's there. Let me see. I don't think Robin's there, actually. Never mind, I'm wrong. Sorry. But all the Delphi users, except for Brook and Robin, are there. So that's Chopper, Luffy, Jinbei, and Bonnie. That's Luffy's group, and then all the other ones are still back on the Thousand Sunny, which was rescued by the big boy robot number 12, in which Vegapunk comes out. Frankie thanks Vegapunk for saving them, and Vegapunk says, "Forgive me, but did you just say I saved you? Oh, you naive pirates, I work for the government. Despite my mediocrity, they like to call me their scientific genius. You can call me Dr. Vegapunk." So, what does this mean? Like, very clearly, yes, Vegapunk is a Marine. We've known that. So, at the fact that, again, assuming this is Vegapunk, or at least his mouthpiece, he is very humble by saying, despite my mediocrity. But this also leads to the question of, is Vegapunk like a gung-ho Marine like Sakazuki? Is he more like a Kiji, where it's kind of, he only really does Marine stuff when he has to? Or is he just, like, completely unburdened by the fact he's a Marine, and he just, yeah, fuck it, I'm a scientist. That's going to be interesting to see. I'm thinking he's leaning a little bit more towards the Kuzan free justice theory. But, yeah, also interesting thing is Frankie and Usopp lose their shit when they see the massive robot saving them, so that's it. I don't think there's anything left to say other than the third thing that we see in this chapter. And that is the fact that we get to see some of our longest missing characters. Since Punk Hazard, we have not seen her. Tashigi and the kids are on a nearby island, which is the G14 naval base. And they're giving all the kids the medicine to help them size down. And then we get introduced to a new character. Waifu of the year. I don't even care. I love her aesthetic. I love her look. I love her attitude. She is my favorite introduction character for, I'm pretty sure, since, like, Yamato. Her name is Doll. She is the Vice Admiral. She is a Vice Admiral, and she's the G14 commander. And apparently Helmeppo is raising some kind of fuss, and Tashigi makes a good point that the only reason he's raising a fuss is because of Kobe. And then we get to see that Helmeppo and a new character, I believe at least, Hibari, she's probably not new, I'm probably just blanking, but Helmeppo and Hibari are, one, both members of SWORD, and they're both pleading to go save Kobe with the Rear Admiral Prince Gruss, who is also a member of SWORD. And this is something I'm going to bring up, and I don't think it's too much of a major jump to say this. If we're getting special dialogue options or special notes that Helmeppo and Hibari and this Rear Admiral guy are SWORD, yeah, sure, it's kind of weird that a few SWORD members would be with normal Marines, but, like, there's no SWORD dialogue on Tashigi's box, and there's no SWORD dialogue on Doll's box. So, that's interesting. I'm not saying that's like a smoking gun that Tashigi's not a member of SWORD. I'm just saying it's weird. But Helmeppo brings up the fact that they are so close to Egghead that they could just go get one of the new pacifistas and just go and save Kobe. And the Rear Admiral, he looks like he has moss for hair, asks if they're crazy and says we can't even get a hold of Drake right now, so we're in no position to act right now. Which is interesting because I don't remember exactly the condition we left Drake off on. I know that the fuck is his name? Straw guy. Hawkins. Hawkins is dead. I'm pretty sure Drake was just injured, but it's interesting they can't get a hold of him, at least. And you'd think that he'd try to get a hold of them if he is in a decent position and okay. And at least that if he's off Wano is basically what I'm saying. But we see that with this scene, like, this is potentially setting up a conflict for later in the arc. If we're going to stay on Egghead, which I'm going to consider this the Egghead arc, if we're going to stay on Egghead for a while, it is 100% possible, at least in my opinion, that Helmeppo and the girl, whose name I'm already forgetting, Hibari, just beeline it to fucking Egghead without anyone's authority. Because they just straight up shut them down and said, no, we can't do this. And we know that Helmeppo cares about Kobe, has for the longest time. So it's going to be interesting to see if they do go off rogue. I doubt it, because this guy makes very good points. Gruss makes a very good point, saying that if they can't get a hold of their higher-ups, they can't risk pushing anything. And to quote his dialogue exactly, when pressured that they need to go to Blackbeard's territory, he makes the point of saying, that's Emperor Blackbeard's home turf. We'll be swarmed by pirates if we stick our nose in that beehive. That's why it's called Hakjinoso, which is, I think, full of lead is what the English translation was. So, the Marines are piss scared of fucking with Blackbeard right now. Even though we got to see the flashback with Rayleigh, Hancock, and what happened on Amazon Lily, that was, like I just said, a flashback. Blackbeard could easily be back on his home base right now. Even though it feels like a very weird time to just sit in your own camp and not do anything, I would feel like he would still be off trying to do stuff. Like, still trying to make an impact in the world. Well, that's just my opinion. But after getting your shit, after pissing your pants in front of the Dark King Silver's Rayleigh, yeah, I think I'd stay home too, not gonna lie. But that's the chapter just kind of run through. We got some interesting notes, like the fact that apparently the Thousand Sunny now has a keel attachment called Rabbit Screw Propeller, which makes it go real fast. Vroom. I'm very interested to see Vegapunk's creations, because the shark, like Vegapunk said, is going off of primal instincts, but also has, like, rockets and shit built in. So it's very interesting to see what all Vegapunk could have in the base. I'm going to start trying to avoid using pronouns for Vegapunk, because I don't want to piss anybody off in case the Vegapunk we got showed in this chapter isn't actually Vegapunk, and the people that just don't want to accept Vegapunk is a girl. I'm not down for them not accepting that. I'm just saying I'm going to try to keep my distance between pronouns until we get a stone cold confirmation, even though the character said it. I'm going to trust it. It could be very similar to Yamato, at least, where they are, quote-unquote, the person that they're claiming to be. With Yamato, it was Kozuki Oden. And with this girl, it's Vegapunk. It's possible. I'm not saying that it's true, but it's very possible. I do like her design, but she does look a little bit like Uta from Film Red. She does have very long arms. I also thought Vegapunk was a member of the Longhead tribe. That's just what I'm going to say. I thought he was one of the people that have real big heads. But yeah, that's this chapter. I liked it. Really solid. I like the comedy that we got with Luffy just forgetting Bonnie's name right after she tells him it, because he just doesn't give a shit. We got some nice waifus. We got some nice waifus this chapter. You got reintroduced to Bonnie. We got some nice panels of Nami and Robin. I'm pretty sure Robin and Nami only got like one panel, but like Oda did them justice no matter what. Tashigi's back. Interesting to see that without Smoker. We got introduced to Doll. We got introduced to Vegapunk. We got reintroduced to Hibari, possibly. I don't know. She does look familiar, so I'm just going to say she was an older character that I just forgot. But also very interesting that we're getting confirmed sword members. New characters that we haven't known, that we didn't know before, but at least we're getting a sword lineup. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'm going to say about this chapter. Very interesting, very solid. I am looking forward to seeing how this arc plays out. Because since it is now basically confirmed to be the Egghead arc, I'm going to look at this as like Punk Hazard 2.0. Tashigi's there. Smoker could possibly be there. It's an island with a brilliant scientist on it who's a member of the Marines. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a real surprise if there are no old Emperor or old warlords on this island, because Punk Hazard had Law just kind of vibing there, hanging out. So if, like, Weasel could be on this island, if Weevil could be on this island, give his character a little bit of a update, that'd be interesting. I'm blanking on all the other fucking warlords that we haven't seen in a while, but it'd be interesting to see if that happens. It's probably not going to. That's just me saying. It'd be like I just said, funny if it happens, because this is very similar to Punk Hazard. But yeah, there's not a whole lot more I want to say. Oh, Caribou's still here. He didn't get washed away. I'm pretty sure he's still in the fucking barrel he was in. Interesting to say the least for this chapter. Can't wait to see how some of these plot threads unwind, because I think introducing Vegapunk, but then it not being what most people thought Vegapunk was going to look like, it's kind of not, it's not bad, but Oda really has to play this right. We can't, like I brought up at the beginning, we can't have people saying that he bungled the character up, or that he fumbled it this bad. Vegapunk needs to land. It needs to be a solid character arc, or at least a solid character in general. Has to have a good personality. The arc has to hold its own. I don't want this to be it's good for post-Wano. I want this to be, it is a good arc. Given this is the first arc that I'm going to be reading from beginning to end as it comes out weekly, it's going to be interesting. And yeah, I'm thinking of remaking the border for the One Piece videos, strictly because I have now 3 emperors on the corners, and Law is the only one that isn't there. Sure, Whitebeard's gone, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go for a whole emperor setup. I'm thinking of just switching Buggy and maybe Shanks. We'll see, though. But, yeah, that has been my review of Chapter 1061, Egghead, the Island of the Future. I really liked it. It's a good setup for the Egghead arc now. And yeah, that's all I can really say about this chapter. Art and the designs of all the robots and shit, so fucking cool, man. But yeah, until next time, stay safe. Oh, I forgot to do the normal thing. If you like this video, let me know by hitting like. It really lets me know that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have anything you want to talk about, things I missed, things that you want to comment on, things that you agree with me, whatever, put it down in the comments. I see all the comments. I do not reply, but I definitely do read them. If you're new here and you somehow stumbled across my channel through this video, make sure to hit subscribe. I do chapter reviews like this every week that a One Piece chapter comes out. And Chainsaw Man and Berserk. Okay. Until next time, stay safe, have fun, and read more manga. Okay, guys. Bye.